Welcome to Be in the Garden. Welcome to Be in Nature. I trust you're well. I certainly am. Here in the UK, the weather is cold. It is cold. We've had some frosty evenings, and the gardening season is coming to an end. I keep trying to resist, but I think the plants around me and the condition of the garden will tell you otherwise. We are in winter. We had some slushy snow earlier on this week, and temperatures have reached zero and is regularly at freezing. And so the garden season has for sure come to an end. At this time of year, I do find that the garden just suddenly looks so unkept. Mine is no exception to that rule. And so what I'm going to be doing in the garden today is really having a tidy up. It's a perfect time for me to reflect on how the garden has been in the previous seasons and previous years. And at this time of year, when the garden is almost looking like a blank canvas in some regard, in that a lot of the perennials have died back, a lot of the plants are just looking wilted and withered at this time of year, being in the weather conditions that we are experiencing here in the UK. I'm not surprised. And so really it's just a perfect time for me to just go around the garden and do a tidy up, a clean up. I'm going to be protecting some of the sensitive plants, but also maybe replanting some, because I might want to relocate some. But really it's just like a walk around, a tidy up at this time of year. I think that's very much what many of us will be doing in our gardens here in the UK at this time of year. So thank you so much for joining me as always. I really do appreciate your comments. And for those of you who just regularly support me, I'm really grateful. All of you who watch the channel. Those of you who are not able to get into the garden, maybe because of health conditions and the weather wherever you are might be even harsher than we have here, maybe icy cold snow, then thank you so much for just staying home and watching. You know who you are. Thank you so much. Okay, keep well. I'm going to be getting on with some tasks around the garden now. This is the pond area, I should say, of the garden. And again, at this time of year, where the weather has dipped down into zero, minus, even -1, -2 in recent days, the plants are just looking withered, dismal. I have a lot of places actually at this time of year. What does tend to happen also, which is maybe a bonus, is that the foliage as it falls then reveals other things, if that makes sense. So over here by the pond where I've had the gunnera and I've had lots of plants around here, because they are withering away, it just shows me some places around here that can do with a little bit of revamping. This plant here is what do they call this one here? Phormium. This is Phormium. And this one, although it will sort of like wilt back slightly in the winter, it will sort of keep its form. And it's lovely. I think they call this New Zealand flax as well. It's a lovely plant, it really is. And this will make it through the winter, although it will sort of die back somewhat. And what I'm going to try and do here is it's had a bit of limited space, I feel. I think at some point, it might not be in today's video, but this is going to be a series, I'm sure, just to showing you the changes that I'm going to be making in the garden over the next few weeks and into the winter months. I'm going to try and give it a little bit more space. I think it's a little bit crammed in here, and I'm just going to try and create some space around here. I've got some old wood that I'm moving around in places, and I'm just really rejigging things around here. These are some of the fruit trees, the apple trees, which have flowered and then produce fruits, and we've harvested those. But the area in the garden back here is looking quite unkept, and I'm just going to do a little bit of a tidy up now. Today at least is not too windy. It's not raining either, so it's a perfect time to be in the garden. in this bed I have some, so on one side I have the Phormium, or the New Zealand flax. On the other side, which I'm sort of really rearranging this area, I have a lot of ferns growing in here, as I do on the other side. But the wild horsetail is really dominating here and is really overtaking this space. So what I'm going to be doing in terms of clearing out is pulling out all the wild horsehair plant and tidy up this bed. I think opening up this area looks a lot better, to be honest. Moving things around at this time of year, like I said, it's really, planting season is kind of done in many ways, but the ground is actually still soft in that it's not frozen. I'll show you. So the soil is not frozen yet. So I've been clearing this area, as you saw, just sort of freeing it from wild plants, aka they do call them weeds, because I want to get it prepped and ready for the spring. I could absolutely have just let everything die back and just cover it over with some cardboard and just let it die back naturally in the soil. That was definitely an option. But this area hadn't had my attention for a little while, and there were some deep rooted plants that I no longer wanted in this area, and so that's why I dug them out. I know that there are some gardeners who do what they call a no-dig gardening, and I'm definitely open to all options. I think when it comes to gardening, each gardener has to do what's best for themselves. What I do on this channel is just really show you what I do in my garden. And each and every one of us who are stewards of the land has to make a decision as to how they want to take care of that land. Absolutely. No dig is something that I think is fascinating and definitely appeals to me. And at times, I practice that. At times. Other times, depending on the situation, I prefer to remove some of the deep-rooted plants that I no longer want in a particular area. Gardening definitely gives me the opportunity to try new things and to see what works. But I always appreciate that what I do in my garden is not for everybody. I'm simply bringing you along on my journey, and what might work for you, that's great. What might work for me, that's also great. So down here, where the Phormium is, you probably don't get to see that a lot, where the dry leaves are. The green ones are incredibly tough. In fact, I think they can use it and create things like ropes and twine from this. It's so tough. But here, where the dry ones are, if you just give it a good tug, it usually comes away from the base of the plant. So I'm just going to clear this area out. And again, somebody else may choose to leave them and let it be habitat over the winter. I'm taking advantage of the fact that I have a few days off from work, and I may not be able to do this at a later stage. Oops. And so I'm doing that now. But absolutely, around my garden, as you have seen, I have log piles. And I have lots of areas for habitat, including around the pond. But I just want to, at the same time, keep the garden some kind of balance. And so today, I'm just having a bit of a clean up, a tidy up. And I thank you for joining me in this video. I do appreciate you always. I'm just going to carry on. In fact, I've got over here, let me just show you. Bear with me. As I said, I've got some ferns along here, but I have a lot of this horsehair plant growing everywhere. It really is, it loves water. It loves areas that are damp and actually can live in marginal ponds and pond edges. They're often found around pond edges. This part of my garden gets quite a lot of sun, but I also chose it because in the winter it definitely does get very damp back here. Definitely very moist, and the ferns appreciate that, and clearly the horsetail does too. With the ferns, just sort of brushing them off. A couple of grasses, variegated grasses. Another fern. Just pulling back some of the dried leaves, but don't they turn beautiful in the autumn? Look, that lovely bronze colour. I have some lemon balm here, and I'm actually going to cut that right down. I'm going to cut that right down in this particular area. I do have it in lots of other areas around the garden, but here I'm going to cut it right down. Some thorns here which I'm going to dig out. Let's tackle some more horsetail down that end, and then I think we'll call it a day. We'll certainly call it a video. hang on to the black grass. I'll see if I can put the Latin name in there. I've showed it to you before, but this, when it's young, it comes out as green and then it eventually turns into the black. So I have quite a long way to go. There's loads of it here, and so I'll come back to you when it's finished, okay? Look at the bees. We're in winter. It's November. This plant here is the Fatsia. And there's obviously still some nectar in there somewhere. Look at these beauties. This is above my head, so I'm just reaching up to see if I can bring this to you. These are the honeybees. They've come out because today is actually a dry day. It's not particularly windy. That's lovely. The bees. Bee in the garden. Bee in nature. Look how beautiful the sky's looking. We're in November, for goodness sake. It was -1 or 2 or 3 a few days ago. But look at the honeybees. They're out in full force. And if you're wondering what plant this is the Fatsia. It's wonderful. It's wonderful to see. Okay, back to work for me. But hold on. Look at the blue sky. It's incredible. I kid you not, we're in the middle of winter in the UK. I kid you not. Even this red robin next to it, the Phormium, is looking like it wants to... It's looking like it wants to bring out some new leaves. Anyway, the weathers are changing everywhere, I think, is what we're saying, right? And some parakeets have just flown overhead as well. Perhaps you picked up their distinctive chirpy sounds just a moment ago, but I've just seen parakeets flying above. Anyway, I'm still loving being in the garden. But I've still got all this horsetail, not horsehair. I've got them all to bring out. I might need to visit you another time, or you may need to visit me another time because I'm behind schedule. Just in case I do end the video here, I would like to say thank you so much. Look at that. I'm squinting because it's so sunny. I'm impressed. I trust you're well. In case I end the video here, I want to say thank you so much for watching. Thank you for being with me in the garden. I trust you're well. I certainly am. Look at that. I couldn't complain. It's a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful November, winter's day. And I've even taken off my layers. I'm breathing heavier because I'm doing some exercise in the garden. If you can, please just check on somebody, one of your neighbours, one of your friends, and just be sure that they're okay. Have a little conversation with them. Keep well, keep well. I'll see you in my next video. Take care. Be in the garden.